friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. I'm back for another cozy mystery vlog. So I have selected 3 books that are first in the series that I'm going to read for this vlog. They are all books that 2 of the books are for readathons I'm doing. The other is just one that's been on my list for a while and I wanted to get to it. So the first one is Drizzled with Death by Jessie Crockett. I've already started this one. I started this when I was on vacation. I was only able to read 100 pages. So that is how far I'm into this. Oh my gosh, my pages are, my book didn't fare well on the trip. I ripped it. There's the, let me see. I ripped it. And I crinkled some pages. I crinkled these pages, look, I bent them. That's what happens when you stick a book in your backpack. And honestly, it was in this the whole time, in my backpack. So I had it protected in my backpack, but what I think happened is that I like shoved stuff into my backpack on top of it. My sweet friend Wendy got this for me. I just had some family stuff going on with the death of the family and being sad and whatever, and she just wanted to get me a little pick-me-up. And so she knew I was going to be reading this for the readathon, so she decided to get this for me. And it came just in the nick of time, like right before I left on vacation. So thank you so much, Wendy. I love you. And yeah, so synopsis of the book. So I did already read this synopsis in my November TBR and it was so punny. So I'm going to try not chuckle when I read it again. But the annual pre-Thanksgiving pancake eating contest is a big event in Sugar Grove, New Hampshire. It's sponsored by the Sat Bucket Brigade, aka the Firefighters Auxiliary, and the Greens Family Farm provides the syrup. But when obnoxious outsider Alonza Speedwell flops face first in a stack of flapjacks during the contest, the Greener Pastures syrup falls under suspicion. Danny knows the police, including her ex-boyfriend, are barking up the wrong tree, and she's determined to pull her loved ones out of a very sticky situation. The odds may be stacked against her, but she's got to tap the real killer before some poor sap in her own family ends up trading the sugar house for the big house. It's still funny when I read it. So basically the part I'm at, you know, they've had this pancake eating contest. The girl has died. And all of these exotic animals are now like running loose. And so that's the majority of what's happening, is them seeing and talking about these wild animals. So Hannah's readathon, they were reading this. I've been seeing in the Discord that people are not really liking this. Like it's pretty, like the majority of this book is just talking about these animals that are on the loose. So we'll see. And like, honestly, I was excited because it said recipes included, but it has a maple magic martini and a Huda Thunket, which is just like a sandwich. So that's kind of wah-wah. I'm not very excited about that. So I'll come back when I have more thoughts on this. The other books that I'm planning on reading for this, and obviously I'll get to the synopsis when I read those. I am going to be reading Kneaded to Death by Winnie Archer and Survival of the Fritters by Ginger Bolton. So that's all I got for you right now. Hello, friends. I don't have any updates on this yet. I only read 15 pages last night, so I'm just now on, well, maybe I read about 18 pages. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give this another like 30 pages or so before I decide if I'm gonna DNF it. I'm just not loving it. I'm just not having a great time with it. And a lot of people didn't really care for this. For the book club in the Discord, there's a lot of chitty chat that just basically said it wasn't that great. So I don't know if I want to waste time on it because I have other books that I want to read. So I am going to go ahead and start Kneaded to Death by Winnie Archer. So I will tell you what it is about. So the synopsis says, everyone swears by Yeast of Eden, the Mexican bread shop in town, but tonight the only thing on the menu is muerte. Is that how you say that? Did I even read the synopsis of this book? I hate when I can't pronounce things. Struggling photographer Ivy Culpepper has lots of soul searching to do since returning to seaside Santa Linda, California. That is, until the 31-year-old enters a bread making class at Yeast of Eden. Whether it's the aroma of fresh conchas in the oven or her instant connection with owner Aloya Diaz and her sisters, Ivy just knows the missing ingredients in her life are hidden among the secrets of Aloya's bakery. I don't even know if that's how I'm saying that right. Olaya's? Olaya's. O-L-A-Y-A. Olaya? Maybe Olaya. I don't know. But Ivy's spirits crumble when a missing classmate is suddenly discovered dead in her car, riddled with stab wounds. Jeez. Even more devastating, the prime suspects are the Diaz sisters themselves. Doubting the women could commit such crimes, Ivy embarks on a murder investigation of her own to prove their innocence. Excuse me, sir. He's trying to get under the covers. Sir. You good? Where was I? Doubting the women could commit such a crime, Ivy embarks on a murder investigation of her own to prove their innocence and seize the real killer. As she follows a deadly trail of crumbs around town, Ivy must trust her gut like never before, or someone else could be toast. So I'm going to start this audio while I'm like cleaning up the kitchen and stuff and maybe folding some laundry, and then I might sit down. I might just kind of go back and forth. Since I don't have the physical of Kneaded to Death, it's something that I would really just listen to like when I'm doing something, and I don't have anything else to do tonight. So I may just have to do that. But I also could probably figure out my TBR for December. That's probably something I should work on. All right, guys, I will be back when I have some thoughts on something. Hello, friends. I'm here with a car update. It's Friday. I just got off work. I stopped. Look at these. Are these not the cutest cups? Stopped at Scooters. Got a sugar cookie latte. Hang on. Okay. Don't mind me. I feel like I needed a little bit of extra caffeine because I'm still on the struggle bus. So I'm updating on Kneaded with Death, Kneaded to Death. I always get the title mixed up. I don't know if it's Kneaded. I think it's Kneaded to Death. So I am 50% through and I am enjoying it so far. So our main character, Ivy, she has moved back home for a little while. Par for the course with cozies. They always move back home. Her mom died in like a accident. It was like a car accident, but like she got hit by a car, not like in the car. Which just she says seems very odd. So like she got hit by a car in the parking lot of the school that she worked at. She was a teacher. So she's still kind of like in shock of like, how could that have happened? So it does touch on death of a parent. And so she's just trying to kind of occupy her mind with things. So she decides to take a bread making class. So I have the audio. So I learned that the lady's name is Olaya. So that is how you pronounce her name, Olaya. And she is the owner of this like pastry shop, and she is giving these bread making classes. So she shows up to do this bread making class. One of the other ladies that is there taking the class gets a call, and she says she's going to step out back and take this call. Next thing you know, they hear all this like yelling and stuff, and they go outside, and there's like a drunk guy out there with another guy who's trying to calm him down, and they don't know like what's going on. But one of the guys ends up being her ex, like the love of her life ex from when she was younger. And then they happen to notice the girl that had left the class was sitting in her car, and they're like, what is she doing? And they go over, she's found dead. So both of the guys that are there are like, well, we didn't know anything about this. They didn't know. Yeah, they weren't involved in that. So they say Ivy has a friend who is a detective. So she's kind of like working with her, trying to help her, like, you know, get some clues. Not because she's asked her to, but because, you know, she's a main character who's a Snoopy sleuth. So she decides she wants to try and figure this out on her own. Because she's making friends with the sisters that own the bread shop, and they are suspects, and are saying they don't have anything to do with it. So I am enjoying the bread making part of it. I love baking. I love food cozies. I have decided that I do want to try and make some bread this weekend, but I'm going to make Irish bread, Irish soda bread, because I was just in Ireland and I loved the bread. The bread was good. It's a very dense bread, a very thick, dense bread that you eat in like soups and stews. And so it's very, you know, minimal ingredients. And I just want to try and make it. So I am planning on making that this weekend. The owner of the pastry shop that does the bread classes, she was very close with the girl who died. She was a good friend of hers. So the daughter of the girl who died has asked her to come over and like go through her house with her and try and get rid of stuff already, like really fast. And there seems like there may have been like an issue between the daughter and the mom, but you know, not enough that they think that maybe she would have had anything to do with their death. So Ivy happens to be in the neighborhood because she is talking with another older lady. There's like some tie-ins of people, like how they're like all connected, which kind of is confusing, but which I don't love, that the owner of this bakery apparently was the mistress of one of the other ladies in this town, and that husband is now deceased. Like, so I guess she was the mistress a long time ago, and then he ended up he stayed with his wife, and he ended up dying. But obviously the wife knew about her, and so they kind of have beef. Well, the widow lives across the street from the lady that died, so they've all just kind of like come together now, and they're trying to figure out like what happened. I'm going to pause it for right now, hopefully finish it up tomorrow. Jesse's Friendsgiving readathon started today, so we have sprints tonight, so I'm going to start a thriller book for that, for one of my prompts. And then I obviously have the Drizzled with Death on hold, because I can only eyeball read that, and I was working and I did not have time, so possibly I can try and get to that this weekend as well. I don't know. Part of me is thinking I might DNF it. Why are you looking at me like that? You literally pulled in the wrong way. I can't stand people sometimes, y'all. I'm at the post office, so I'm gonna run in, mail these packages, and then I'm going to the library to drop off a lot of my graphic novels that I have checked out, and then I'm coming back to do some sprints. So I will check back later. Friends, I'm back with an update. I finished Kneaded to Death yesterday. I really had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. I am going to settle on 4 stars for that. So we followed along with Ivy and her new friends, the owner of the bake shop, and then the lady across the street from the girl that died. And they just kind of did some investigating. And in the process of investigating this new death, she was also investigating her mom's death, because she was pretty sure that her mom was intentionally killed and that it wasn't an accident, and that somehow maybe it was tying in with this one. So they kind of go through that. yeah, I can't really tell you much because it might give things away, but just know that I had a really, really good time with it. I'm definitely going to continue in the series. There's only 8 books in the series, so I do plan on reading all of them because I did just have such a good time with this one. And of course, it's baking. There's food. I loved it. I did end up making some Irish soda bread, which I popped in the clip of that. It was not great. It tasted good, but I don't think I made my, first of all, I needed it too long. I read the directions wrong. So it said to knead it 5 to 10 times. And I read that as 5 to 10 minutes. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I've made bread before. I was like, this is a long time to knead this. I was like, why are we kneading it for this long? And if you've made bread before, like the more you knead something, the more dense it is. So sometimes over kneading is not good. It was not good. So the whole outside, like 3/4 of it got baked. The very center of it did not. It was still doughy. So when I cut it, it was doughy, but like I pulled it apart, but it was super dense. It was super, super dense. I could have put it in soup or stew and it probably would have been fine. But I did try it and the flavor was good. So I may attempt to make it again, but just obviously not knead it as long and maybe make it in, I need to make my dough a little bigger, I think, and shorter. Because I think I had it too compact. That's why it didn't probably bake that well, is that I didn't make it big enough. So it was too tall and small. Tall and small. That makes sense. Anyway. Yeah, didn't say I was a pro at making bread because I'm not. But I do like making bread though. And rolls and things like that. And then I went ahead and started my 3rd book for this vlog, which is Survival of the Fritters by Ginger Bolton. I am just listening to this on audio. So synopsis, I'm going to read the synopsis, and it's on my laptop, which is over there. So that's where I'm looking. And I have already started this and I'm already 40% through this book. So I will give you my thoughts here in a second. But to tell you what it's about. Emily Westhill runs the best donut shop in Fallingbrook, Wisconsin, alongside her retired police chief father-in-law and her tabby deputy donut. But after murder claims a favorite customer, Emily can't rely on a sidekick to solve the crime or stay alive. If Emily has learned anything from her past as a 911 operator, it's to stay calm during stressful situations. But that's a tall order when one of her regulars, Georgia Teeter, goes missing. Georgia never skips morning cappuccinos with her knitting circle. Her pals fear the worst, especially Lois, a close friend who recently moved to town. As evening creeps in, Emily and the ladies search for Georgia at home, and they find her murdered among a scattering of stale donuts. Disturbingly, Georgia's demise coincides with the 5-year anniversary of her son's murder, a case Emily's late detective husband failed to solve before his own sudden death. With Lois hiding secrets and an innocent man's life at stake, Emily's forced to revisit painful memories on her quest for answers. Though someone's alibi is full of holes, only a sprinkling of clues have been left behind. And if Emily can't trace them back to the killer in time, her donut shop will end up permanently closed for business. So pretty much everything in that synopsis is what I've already done with. So, yeah, Emily runs a donut shop. She was married to a police officer who died on duty, but she runs the donut shop with his father. So her father-in-law of her late husband. And one of the knitting ladies is found dead, and they're just trying to piece it together. And her new neighbor, as it stated, Lois, her new neighbor, lives next door to her, happened to have maybe seen something from that older murder that happened. So basically, 5 years ago, a man was murdered. His mother is now been murdered. So assuming that maybe the mom found something out and shouldn't have, but that's what they're just trying to figure out. And the new neighbor, Lois, actually thinks she has possibly some evidence from something from the previous murder 5 years ago. So Emily and Lois are working together. Lois asked her if she would help her, like, kind of piece things together and see if they can't figure things out. And then the detective that is working the case happens to be her late husband's partner. And they have not spoken really since it happened, you know, just from like grief and all of that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't really have that. I mean, pretty much just, I know what the synopsis says, but I'm having a good time with it. I probably won't finish it tonight because I'm supposed to have movie night tonight with Jess for the readathon. That's what I'm reading this book for, is for the readathon that we did this weekend, Friendsgiving readathon. But I will hopefully have it finished tomorrow. And then I can give you my final thoughts on it. And then I still have this sucker hanging out that I need to try and read some more in. Like I said, I think I'm going to give it another 30 pages and then I may just DNF it. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll be back. Hello, I'm back with my updates for Survival of the Fritters. I had a really good time with this one. I enjoyed following Emily and her neighbor Lois as they were just kind of figuring out what clues Lois had. Something was stolen from Lois, and they were trying to figure out, obviously, she must have had whatever this is was part of a clue for the murder that happened several years ago, and she didn't realize that that's, you know, that she had it. So they are just trying to figure out more details on that item that was stolen to see if they can track down who, I can't say what it is because that would give it away, but they just did some investigating on this item that was stolen. I love the cat deputy. His nickname is Depp. And I love that in her shop, in her donut shop, she actually has an office for him to hang out in with a clear glass wall so that like he is not in the bakery area, so he can't get, like, there's a separate access to that room. So she takes him in and out of that, into that room, and it's sealed off so that none of his hair or anything would get into the bakery. But then the customers can literally look through the window at him chilling in his little office. It is so cute and adorable, and I love it. I also like that Emily is reconnecting with her late husband's partner. They had kind of stopped communicating after the loss of her husband, and so they are just starting to talk again. Obviously, they have to work together because she has information about the case that she's relaying to him. And so, yeah, so that's fun. And then Lois, the neighbor, is always trying to get him to come over and have like desserts or dinner or feed him because she wants Emily to start talking to him in a non-friend capacity, which she says she's not ready for yet. So I loved the three of them getting together and just, you know, eating and conversing and like throwing their ideas back and forth at each other. There were times that Lois was definitely hiding something, but we weren't sure why, and we obviously do find that out. But yeah, I just had a good time with it. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing in the series. I am settling on 4 stars, and there are 9 books so far. Well, the 9th book comes out in a couple weeks. Not too many in the series to where I couldn't catch up pretty quickly and not get too far behind in it. What I did do is made apple fritters. Tell me that doesn't look delicious. These are just air fried apple fritters that are made with like 4 ingredients. They are so good. So you take, and I already ate one, so this is just a pretty one. So I was finishing up the book this morning after I made these, and I had one of these sitting on a plate because I was gonna update, and I was getting so hungry. It was just staring at me, so I ate it. So I had to bring in one that was not eaten so that I could show you guys. So it is just made with self-rising flour, vanilla Greek yogurt. It called for regular Greek yogurt, but I wanted it to be a little sweeter, so I used vanilla Greek yogurt. And then cinnamon, sugar, and chopped apples. So you just drop them into the air fryer and then fry them up, and this is what they look like. And then the glaze on the top is just powdered sugar and milk consistency to make a glaze, but instead of milk I used sugar cookie creamer, and it was so good. It was so good, and I will definitely be making these again. So that is my updates for now. Like I said, I still want to try and get to Drizzled with Death. I have not had time to eyeball read it, but I'm going to try and prioritize that maybe tonight on sprints. Jess has sprints tonight. So maybe at least try and, I can easily get 30 pages read in one of the sprints to see if I want to keep, you know, reading it or not. Anyway, I will be back. Car update. Have to run to the post office. So I thought I would give a final update on Drizzled with Death. I DNF'd it. I just couldn't get into it, you guys. It had nothing exciting happening, and I just couldn't stay with it. Like, if I had had the audio for it, I probably would have been able to push through and read it and give it. It may have got low ratings, but at least I could have at least rated it. I got to page 150, DNF. So it is cold out and I have this sweater on. Y'all, if I talk about this sweater, or if you see me in this sweater in all of my vlogs, you know why, because it's amazing. So this is my sweater from Ireland. Look at it. It's so stunning. So this design is like at the bottom of it too, and it zips up and it has the Trinity. I love it. It is so comfortable and is so warm. It is my favorite now. Here I am again, ending a vlog in my car, but this is just the time I had to do it. So at least 2 of these books were good. I really enjoyed the other 2 books that I read for this vlog. So DNF in this one, it's okay. So let me know if you have read any of these books. If you have, how did you like them? Let me know in the comments below. And until my next video, friends, be yourself, be awesome, be kind.